This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and around the world on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and our growing family of broadcast affiliates and satellite programming professionals. I'd like to give us a call, 800-610-7035, worldwide toll-free, email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on MSN Messenger and every other imaginable multimedia social network, X-Zone Radio TV, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is Ted Peters. And Ted Peters has been investigating UFOs for 4 decades, serving previously as the Louisiana State Director of MUFON. That's the Mutual UFO Network. He is currently a professor of Somatic Theology and Ethics at Pacific Lutheran Theological Seminary, and the Graduate Theological Union in Berkeley, California. He co-edits the journal Theology and Science at the Center for Theology and the Natural Sciences. He has authored and edited more than 24 books on theology and the dialogue between faith and science. And his website is Ted's Timely Take at www.tedstimelytake.com. We're going to be talking to Ted this hour about his new book entitled UFOs, God's Chariots. Joining me now from the beautiful state of California is my guest this hour, Ted Peters. And Ted, welcome to the X-Zone.
Well, Rob, thank you very much for having me on the X-Zone. And yes, I come from California. I wish I could say I was in orbit around Zeta 2 Reticuli, but I guess it's California. But sometimes in California, we feel like we're in orbit.
Tell me, what was your inspiration for writing your book, UFOs, God's Chariots?
Well, as you mentioned in the introduction, my work has to do with the interaction or dialogue between faith and science, and I have been fascinated with the subject of UFOs since I was a kid, and I've sort of grown into it. And there is a real scientific dimension, actually a kind of cast or ambience about the UFO phenomenon, but hidden right beneath it are religious and spiritual dimensions, and I'd like to ferret those out.
Tell me, have you yourself had a UFO experience, an encounter?
I have not, but I would love to have one. And I've interviewed a number of people who have had experiences, and sometimes I get a little jealous.
Is there a conflict between ufology and theology, or do they exist hand in hand?
I do not think there is a conflict. Yes, there are some right-wing Christian fundamentalist types, actually creationist types, who think that flying saucers or UFOs are demonic, but a close look will show that what they really fear is the theory of evolution, the idea that extraterrestrials evolved on another planet, and so it becomes the same old battle against Darwin. By and large, I think that religious believers in general, Christians in particular, do not have any difficulty with the idea of extraterrestrial life, nor with the idea that we might be visited, by ETI in flying saucers.
Tell me, Ted, in your opinion, why do you think that there might be a government conspiracy or cover-up to suppress the information that extraterrestrials, UFOs, may be real and may be visiting this planet?
Well, why do I believe that? Because there's ample evidence that the government has hidden information. And that seemed to have begun already as early as 1947. The question would be whether there is a systematic government conspiracy to hide really dramatic information. I tend not to believe that, but that information that is important has been withheld from us. We can pretty well document that that's the case.
Exonation, my guest this hour is Ted Peters. We're talking to Ted about his new book entitled UFOs, God's Chariots, Spirituality, Ancient Aliens, and Religious Yearnings in the Age of Extraterrestrials. His website is www.tedstimelytake.com. We've got about... What we're going to do is we're just going to hold it off here. I've got to take a 2-minute commercial break, Ted. When we come back, we're going to be discussing UFOs and the connection in theology. And I'm going to ask you the question: are UFOs are the UFOs God's chariots? I guess that's what I want to say.
Good question.
All right, stand by, Ted. You and I will be back on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break as the X Zone continues from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Once again, Ted Peters is our guest. He's the author of UFOs, God's Chariots. His website is www.tedstimelytake.com. My name is Rob McConnell, and Ted Peters and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue investigating the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here in the X Zone. Don't go away. Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com.
Do you have a dis-ease that you would like to alleviate through a natural means? Have you been contacted by angels, ghosts, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services free of charge for first-time clients contacting me during the month of April. These free consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you have always wanted to explore these types of experiences but were skeptical or simply could not afford them, then take advantage of this free special offer. Contact me through my website, aguidinglight, spelled LITE.com, to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
Explanation, Ted Peters is our guest. He's the author of UFOs, God's Chariots. His website is www.tedstimelytake.com. So tell me, Ted, are UFOs God's chariots?
The answer is both no and yes. The no answer has to do with the ancient astronaut theory.
Mm-hmm.
Many think that our ancestors back in biblical times were kind of stupid and unable to distinguish between spiritual things and visiting technologically advanced flying saucers and UFOs. So we could translate ancient scriptures, both Christian as well as written texts from other civilizations, translate those so that they don't read gods, but they in fact read ufonauts visiting us in flying saucers. I tend not to support the ancient astronaut theory, so in that regard, no, UFOs are not God's chariots. On the other hand, I would like to say yes, because the message that we get all too frequently, and I shouldn't say too frequently, I should say I'm quite grateful for the message that we get, namely that ufonauts come from a civilization that is advanced, not just scientifically, but culturally. They've learned how to have peace on their planet, to get past the stage of development where they're threatened by nuclear war, that in coming to Earth, they can teach us how to have a peaceful society here on this planet. And I think that if that message comes to us from those who are piloting flying saucers, I want to say that's a good message, and they could be agents of God's word if that's the message that they are delivering.
All right, do you think that the God that so many people on this planet believe in is the same God that that the extraterrestrials believe in?
Well, I wouldn't know how an extraterrestrial believes until I ask them, but I do think that there is but one God for the entire cosmos, and if we do wake up some morning and we've got neighbors orbiting Zeta 2 Reticuli, they will be children of the same Father that you and I are.
Is it possible that the angels that were talked about in the Bible could actually be ETs?
Yes, actually, I don't want to categorically reject the ancient astronaut theorists, because the angels are not thoroughly described, and it is possible that there can be bearers of God's word in many different forms. And yes, I would say that's a possibility. I'm not going to vote for it, but it's a possibility.
You yourself have never had a UFO experience, and yet you're in the UFO field. You were with MUFON. You've talked to many people who claim to have had experiences. Why did you decide to carry this torch?
I've got outer space in my inner soul. Somehow or other, I got inflicted with that when I was about 12 years old. And so I study UFOs and have been since I was a teenager all the way down to the present period of time. But in addition to that, I'm quite interested with regard to what our scientists are doing at NASA and SETI. NASA scientists are looking for microbial life within our solar system, and as you know, SETI scientists are looking for intelligent life in extrasolar planets.
Yeah.
I'm just as fascinated with them as I am with the UFO phenomenon.
You know, I've had the pleasure of having Seth Shostak on the show a number of years. I've had the pleasure.
He's a delightful guy.
Yeah, and I've known Seth for over 22 years. But I've said this to Seth. I said, what happens if you guys are listening to a frequency or for a frequency that you just can't pick up.